4 new South Beach singles have arrived.
Yeah, and the ladies came in hot. They were showing what their mama gave them, trying to make up for lost time, and they certainly got the attention of the men.
Yeah, there were a couple of brothers on the set from Haiti.
Yeah.
Let's see what they're working with. Welcome to Cliff Alerts. Today we're going to be talking about OWN Network's reality-based TV series, Ready to Love, season number 7, episode number 2.
But before we get into it, we appreciate your assistance in helping us grow this channel. So we are asking that you subscribe, like, and share. Please send your comments so that I can respond to you. And we appreciate and are grateful for you helping us in this endeavor.
For sure.
Thank you.
Nephew Tommy.
Yeah.
He invites the cast members, 16 of them, yeah. For brunch. And they all get together and continue to mix and mingle. But, Nephew Tommy's going to throw him a curveball.
And in walked Cynthia. What's that chick's name?
Janique, as best I can.
Mark Anthony.
Yep.
And Fabergé.
No. Keep going, try again.
Fabrice.
Closer.
What's the brother's name?
Fabrice, not Febreze. That stuff you spray on couches to get, undesirable scents out of it. Fabrice.
My bad. Well, not really.
I was just getting ready to say. That didn't sound sincere.
Anyway, they came through. My Haitian brother, Fabrice.
Fabrice, yes.
He seemed a touchy-feely. He likes women. He's a fashion designer. Jeffrey is not feeling what Fabrice is putting down. She is basically repulsed by it.
Yeah, but that's not going to deter Fabrice from my vantage point, at least based on what I have initially seen from that brother.
Well, Sue-Ann spoke up. She's the attorney. She likes the brother who will talk about it and who have experience doing it. So she doesn't mind. Neither she or Mercedes mind a conversation. However, Mark Anthony, he seemed a little more laid back and reserved.
I will say this. He definitely had the attention walking in the door of more than one of the ladies because of simply his looks.
Yeah,
he's a handsome brother.
He's not hard on the eyes.
He's nowhere close to being hard on the eyes.
Someone was giving off the proportion of his butt. Marcia, she was trying to imagine what it would feel like, and for a sister who don't like people touching her and all this other stuff,
she came all out of her face, didn't she?
She was enthused by what she saw of his background. Tommy had the 6 men and 2 of the new ladies go out on a date, which I thought was strange.
Yeah, it seemed like to me something that would have been very uncomfortable and awkward for 2 ladies who were just arriving on the set to have to participate right off the bat.
Yeah.
Cynthia and Janique were asked to meet with Andre, DeMarco, Blue, Blake, Tony, and Anthony.
Right.
And it just seemed like that he was just throwing them into the proverbial fire, so to speak, right off the bat.
Right.
And I don't think that was necessarily the best way to go about it.
Because this week the men were making the decision regarding which one of the women will get to stay or not. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's why he did it. Cynthia arrived first and they started peppering her with questions. Mm-hmm. She said she is a submissive woman. She prefers staying in her lane and let the man do his thing. She said that that's who she is, and she doesn't have a type, because she explained going in, initially meeting someone, you don't know what type you encounter, and she's not going to lock herself off from experiencing the person. And I thought that was smart.
I tend to agree with that, because she didn't want to pigeonhole herself. I thought that was a smart answer. Then Johnny uh, made her way to the event and sat down, and I kind of thought that she came in, into that, you know, that kind of setting without any hesitation and or reservation about asking questions.
Well, I would assume she would because she is a business owner. She owns, I believe, some sort of. It says she's a
District
software
software
district
company
company
owner,
owner.
right?
Not sure what that is, but she certainly was a confident sister. I just thought she gave off a more homegirl vibe rather than looking for a mate.
I can see that. I was kind of struck by, I guess a couple of things in particular. One, I don't think that her choice of dress was appropriate. She basically, men are visually oriented, and I don't think that was, that jumpsuit was it that she came in.
Well, she had on a jumpsuit initially when she met the guys, when Tommy introduced them to the group. And I'm not sure whether she was wearing another jumpsuit.
I don't think so. I think she went to that group date in the same outfit. I believe. I could be wrong.
Well, hey, we are in Miami. It's hot. She got to work with what she got to work with. Some brothers appreciate that. Some that's not their thing. Uh, and in any event, the date ended, and I believe Andre wanted to escort Cynthia back to her car. So that happened. They had a hug at the end of it, and everybody went on their business.
Do you think that the brothers got what they were, for lack of a better expression, looking for in terms of responses out of these two new sisters that are on the set?
No, I'm not sure if they connected or if it was just a competition among the men. And having six brothers interact with just two women, competition is gonna rear its ugly head.
I agree with that. From the male's point of view, I just don't think that they got what it is that they were looking for in the way of in-depth answers. But the reason why is because of not only what you just said or alluded to in the way of the environment and circumstances in which they were placed into, but also maybe a few other things as well. But I agree with you. I don't think they got what they were looking for.
Right. Please excuse his coughing. He's dealing with recovery of a little virus, so there's that. Anyway, the next date we have on tap is
Tony and Marcia.
Tony and Marcia. But before we get into it, we got to talk about Z. Z was in the bottom last week, and she spent her time when they had the brunch initially asking the men why they tried to eliminate her. And we've seen that in the past, and I think that's wasted energy, and here's why. You have not been eliminated, you're here right now. So going around asking the men why they put you in the bottom is irrelevant. You're there right now, show more of your personality because that's the thing that gets their attention, your personality. And if a number of men are saying that it seemed like she was deflated dealing with them because the memory of the rejection was still present, that's not a good thing.
To me, it was certainly time poorly spent on her behalf. Instead of focusing on what lies ahead of her, she wanted to revisit what was behind her and then try to put people on the spot so she could find out for her own purposes, who said what.
It's wasted energy. You got to know who you are. If you want to have to show more of who you are, fine. But don't go back talking about who did what. I mean, come on.
I agree with that 100%.
Then we have a date between Tony and Marcia. Tony is the dude that swole a little bit, and Marcia is the fashion designer who has maybe some germ, who maybe germ sensitive. The way she leans back reminds me of someone I
Yeah, but she didn't lean back with him, though.
know.
She definitely didn't lean
No,
back with him.
she liked what she
Matter of
saw.
fact, she did. Instead of leaning back, she leaned forward.
Was she trying to touch?
Exactly, because the brother was cut up and swole,
But
and she liked that.
she liked that. She said he was something that filled her eyes a little bit, and she was grateful that they were hooking up and trying to connect. They seemed like they were having a good date. In fact, before eating, Tony decided to pray. And as he said, he's looking for a woman who he can pray with. She thought that was a good thing, and she told him so, and he appreciated that.
It definitely is a good thing, and it's good to see that a sister recognizes within that brother, something that's admirable. So
Right.
I think that their date went very well. I think that their date was smooth. It was light. Was they seemed to have at least some kind of initial attraction to each other.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm not gonna question
So-
that because that was evident. That
And-
was clear.
But that was in stark contrast to a date that was seemingly going on at the same moment, at least editing wise, between Blake and Z.
Yeah, that was a disaster. It wasn't good. G's whole spirit was deflated, and I think she may be an introvert, so she's not gonna do the charismatic smoothing and all that other stuff. And what I thought was troubling is Blake's attempt to interrogate her rather than just have a conversation or create a safe space where she can feel comfortable to then reveal herself.
To me, Blake fumbled the opportunity. He had an opportunity and basically said, "Hey, look, she's not feeling comfortable." Instead of doing that, he just told. It seemed
He
like
actually told her, "Oh, you look nervous."
right, exactly. He proceeds to ask her a laundry list of questions that he, I guess, had mentally prepared and/or written down, and not even begin to, address, the first issue that he clearly observed was that she wasn't feeling comfortable.
I'm not feeling what he's putting down so far, and I just thought that he mishandled her a little bit by not creating a safe space for them to communicate, not just him, but for them to open a space to give her room to come out of his shell and communicate with him.
Agreed.
A conversation.
Agreed.
That can just go
And
and
he didn't-
flow and all that other
And
stuff.
he from at least from my vantage point, and at least not until later on in the episode, took no accountability for for how he came off with respect to to Z and their date. I don't know anybody that wants to feel like they're being interviewed as though they were applying for a job.
Now
I don't know anybody
I've
on a social date.
I've seen him interact and relate to Kovea and now Z. And in both situations, he came across as arrogant and condescending. And I'm not liking that at all.
I would say I agree with those sentiments, but I would kind of maybe express it a little differently. He came across to me as a self-absorbed brother who didn't think that his ish stunk.
Yeah. But again, more will be revealed. But I'm feeling Blake at all.
Yeah, and it's obvious that Z wasn't either.
A date should be a happy experience, not someone just trying to check off a list. Just like I will have a problem with if a woman goes on a date, i.e. Corvea had a date, it seemed, with Mark Anthony, and she decided to ask him if he will spoil her. Now, he said in his confessional, it sounded like a gold digger question. And he was right. I mean, Corvée, with all her confidence and knows what she wants or what have you. Girl, you spoil yourself. Don't ask a man you're just meeting if he's gonna spoil you. That's we gotta throw the flag on that one as well.
No question about that as it relates to, I'm in total agreement with you regarding inappropriate questions that are asked on a first and or initial date. This brother doesn't know you well enough to figure out whether or not he wants to get to the point where he knows you well enough
He knows you well to spoil
spoil
you. He gotta know you first.
Right.
What's next?
There was another group date.
Oh, there was another group date involving the ladies now with the two new men, Mark Anthony and Fabrice. And the ladies who met with them include
Sue-Ann, Z, Marcia, Jeffrey, Mercedes, and one other one. Morgan, okay.
So they met, and the two dudes came through. Marcia, as I said earlier, was interested in Mark Anthony's butt. Mercedes liked what he was putting down. He's not hard on the eyes. And Fabrice sat down and immediately started talking about sex. He was sitting with Jeffrey, and I guess he could feel her vibration that she did not like all this sexual conversation. And
in the first meeting, I
wouldn't
blame her
like,
one bit.
Ooh, too much.
And then when he stopped talking about that, just in terms of that part of it with the group, he picked back up and continued on again.
Yeah, he talked about his life, how he's well traveled. He worked for a famous fashion designer at one point in his life, and he talked about the woman and his experience and all this other stuff.
Yeah, he didn't have any problems running down his creds, and then he went back to talking about the sexuality component.
Much so that he perked Sue-Ann up, and maybe some of the ladies who were there. I personally thought that all that sexual stuff was inappropriate.
I thought it was way too soon. And not only that, too, but how can you expect, if you're a brother, to be on a show entitled Ready to Love and come across initially like that and expect people to take you as anything other than a player?
He came across as, having an issue because that's all he was focused on.
And that's all that he made. That's all that he made a point of emphasizing about himself.
In fact, in the confessionals, he said that he thought Jeffrey, when he was in the group with the men ready for elimination, he thought that Jeffrey was conservative, so he wasn't feeling her at all.
From my end, he false started. Okay, you don't talk if you're on a show entitled Ready to Love, and that's what you claim you're there for. You don't start off with a sexual component.
Well, it made me think. I wonder if his girlfriends know that he's on the show. That's the first thing.
And I know one thing. In my mind. I know one thing. That would be more
likely than not.
Exactly, and it would be a very, from my end, righteous question to ask.
I think the brother is suspect. I'm just saying. I don't think he is committed to finding anything other than a new sexual experience and being on TV.
Exactly.
Tommy said that's the men's lounge. I'm saying, oh my God.
I don't know whether that was
a church renovated as a God. Woo!
Yeah, that's another subject I would guess, but anyway, yeah, the fellows met and chopped it up and basically found out from one another and from nephew Tommy what they liked versus what they didn't like. Right?
The men also said who they were not feeling. Anthony Z, Blue Z, DeMarco Z, and Blake Z. So based on that, it's clear who will be going home.
Right, and it was left up to Lyndon to meet with Corvaya and as well Blake had the honor of again meeting with Z to express the fellow sentiments in the meeting lounge, in the men's lounge, about what they had to say about her as well.
Right, and with Lyndon's meeting with Corvia, Lyndon had the cojones to tell her that she shouldn't say what she wants. She should ask for what she wants, which I think is totally over the line. He has no business trying to tell a woman how she should maneuver in this group. I thought it was little arrogant to begin with. If she's not feeling you, she could say, "Hey, I'm not feeling you," and the reason why. But he is saying that she is too forward for the group and she needs to tweak that. And I personally think if the diva has come a long way to know who she is and could stand in it, that's what she needs to do, and not second guess herself or step back because a man could feel comfortable. He should be able to deal with her as she is right here, right now. That's what I think.
Let me just say that from my vantage point, Lyndon handled it poorly. Handled kind of just this whole idea or whole notion of conveying, the brothers in the men's lounge who had who gave feedback on who they were least attracted to. I think he handled that poorly. I thought that he should have been far more diplomatic. And even if you couch it in terms of what men are looking for, hey, that sister has is who she is, and she doesn't need to be apologetic for it. And just like the guys who are like them, who they are, they don't need to be apologetic for who they are, be it right, wrong, or somewhere in between those two extremes.
Exactly. A woman got to swim through a river of ish to get to the point where she is confident in who she is, and is able to articulate it to a man so he understands. So
So she may.
so retreating from that position is no one who has gone through the ish is gonna want to give ground up to a couple of strangers she does not know, because it's she gotta come across softer. No, be who you are. Be polite. Be respectful, but be who you are, because that river is behind you, and you don't want to go swimming in that horse dung anymore.
I think what may have been, I guess, maybe foundationally speaking, at the root of this was, I think maybe something that you referenced earlier about Corvia talking about how she didn't feel like a grown ass man should have to have a roommate, and that she as a woman wasn't checking for somebody who had a roommate right now,
Right.
because she felt like if she could make it on her own and assume or acquire her own place, then it's not unreasonable to expect for somebody else who's may and possibly interested in her to do likewise.
Exactly, and that's her choice. You can either say,
Right,
"Yeah,
that's a
I
personal
like
preference.
it," or "No, I don't."
It's a personal
But
preference,
that's
and
her preference.
that's
her point.
that's okay, and that's perfectly reasonable as far as I'm concerned. Now, he may not, feel that way, and chances are he doesn't feel that way because he hasn't achieved that. Especially now at the time that they tape this episode. Okay, if he's kind of salty about that, okay, be salty about that.
All by yourself.
Right, exactly. Consider the merits of what she happened to say, and her expressing to you her preference, mind you, okay, as it relates to the kinds of men that she might be attracted
Exactly.
to and or
She's
interested
not.
in.
She's not stuck on stupid.
Okay, then you're not trying to tell me that Blake has not had the opportunity and or chance to sit down and talk with somebody about issues, correct?
Right.
Okay.
But this is not really an issue. This is just you relaying the next step to the other person.
The problem, what I was going to reference is this, okay? Blake is 44 years old, and he ought to know how to do that. This is fallout from their initial meeting, their initial one-on-one. I don't think that, because we referenced earlier how they had gone out on a date, right?
Right.
Okay. So you mean to tell me that he didn't learn anything from the first time that he met with her regarding their one-on-one date and this elimination date, the second date?
No, that's not who he is. He dismissed her like if she's an employee. And for me, it's good to know where he is.
Nephew Tommy said something that I in the men's lounge about Blake I thought was right on point, and he said and I'm paraphrasing that she probably didn't like the fact that you interviewed her, right? And what was his response? Yeah, she probably didn't. I'm saying to you, he obviously didn't learn anything from that initial meeting.
No,
and
it didn't give him pause.
Right.
More will be revealed. There's a fugazi going on with someone who already has a girlfriend.
Guess who that could possibly be?
Anyway, that's all we have. We'd like to thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. We appreciate you assisting us in building this channel. Much love and grace and blessings to you. And we'll see you next week. Maybe a girlfriend will call in. Calling all of Fabergé's girlfriends on a live channel and see what happens.
Listen, somebody gonna drop down on that brother. Sell all his tapes.
Well, I'm gonna be here for it.
Of course.